Welcome back, everyone, to the Command Center of Community Civics 101. And we're at day number 3, where today we're going to be talking about how decisions are really made. And we're being mindful that this is still sort of us in our shift to making sure that what happens in our household also happens in our community, because that also lends itself to what happens in our country. So it's community, state, country. And the foundation of all of that is home. And today we're going to be talking about decisions. And really, where do those decisions really come from and how it works within our local government? Because once again, that is our foundation of what we do throughout our lives. Is very important to our lives. It's a part of our structure to our lives, and we have to know how to engage with that. So we want to be clear on how that process works. We have to be mindful that decisions in our community are not random, that they don't just happen. Okay? These decisions go through a process and a procedure, and is definitely not who's the loudest online. Okay? So let's think about this. Let's think about the process that this goes through. And most people don't know this, and I it's understandable. Most people are working a 9 to 5 or 9 to 9, and when you're coming home after those moments in your day, you are in a resting mode, not a activation mode. So you have to have someone within your sphere that is feeding information to you that gives you alerts. So when you're in the working mode, you have to have an outside source to assist you for your call of actions. So make sure that you have someone in your sphere who's keeping up with what's going on and can alert you when you need to be somewhere. It shows up as a proposal, an agenda, or a recommendation. Those are the 3 things that are very important for you to be alerted about so that you can take action. And once again, you have to have a system that alerts you to what those things are. So let me go over them one more time. It usually shows up as a proposal, an agenda item, or a recommendation. Then it moves to committees. We have different committees that look at different things in our community pertaining to our community: housing, safety, transportation. Those are actual committees that sit down and look at the situation, the proposal, the agenda item, or the recommendation. Smaller groups are discussing what's happened. Details of the situation get worked out, and direction is quietly shaped at that time. So you want to make sure, sorry about that, we're going to make sure that you understand that process. Okay, that's a process that goes on behind the closed doors in the committees that are looking at the proposal, the agenda item, or the recommendation. After that, you have your public meeting. So know that someone has already looked at this situation. They've talked about it. They got it down to some details that they think are pertinent for the item that is being looked at. And then they take it to a community meeting. is either a city council meeting, a county commissioner meeting, or a school board meeting. Remember those three. Those are the three that are pertinent in your community framework for you to stay alert to. City council, your county commissioner, and your school board. Be mindful you pay taxes to make sure that these three can operate. They are funding buckets that you put your funds into. So you need to have some kind of alert mechanism so you know when there's some proposals out there, when an agenda is, when an item is on the agenda, and also what recommendations they be making and where did those recommendations come from. And be mindful that the real shaping of all of these things happen early on in the process, and then they get to you to let you know what they've shaped and how you feel about it. This gives you an opportunity for some input. Then you have your ordinances and your resolutions. Once again, your ordinance and your resolutions. This is more like your rulings, your guidelines to tell you how this is going to be enforced after we decide on the total makeup of what the issue is. And that is how things become policy. And that is how things become policy. So you want to get in there where you fit in to the process so that you are aware of the small pieces that came together as it came before you, and then it becomes policy. You want to get it before it becomes policy. It is harder to turn it around, even though you can turn it around. It is harder to turn it around after policy is established. So you want to get there before that. And make sure that you know and understand that these things affect zoning, they affect budgeting, and schools and services. Okay. Be mindful as households, we deal with these things daily. This is not something that, randomly happens to us in our life, in our day-to-day life. These are things that happen to us daily. So we have to be aware of them. So let me ask you something. At what point could you have shown up, but you didn't? And once again, understanding that most people are working 9 to 5, a 9 to 9, and that's whether you're inside the home or outside of the home. Of course, homemakers are up at sometimes 3 and 6 o'clock in the morning and ending their days anywhere between 10 and 12 p.m. And we are so mindful of that, but we still have to find that hour to 2 hours in our month to be able to be aware. And so we got to start thinking about, where can I show up? Because I haven't been showing up, and what can I do? Were you not present when the agenda was posted? And be mindful they are posted. When the committee met, or only after the decision was already made? All three of those are very important. And then we have to look at now, where can we shift? In this situation, because this is all about being able to shift from where we are to where we need to be active, and making sure that we're making decisions that are affecting our lives, that we're not left out of the process of being able to make those decisions. We want to move from reacting after the fact to understanding the process before the outcome. Those three things that happen before it gets to policy: committee meetings, the public meeting, and then getting to ordinances and policies that is going to make up things that's going to affect us in zoning, budgeting, schools, and services. Because once you understand the process, you stop feeling powerless. You start feeling as though, oh, this is my framework now. I got someone who's feeding me alerts to let me know if if I need to send someone representing my family so that we get this information so we know how to be active in this situation. And tomorrow, we're going to go even deeper into us activating and being present and getting a framework that works for our family, for our timeline, for our family foundation, so that we are in a position to know the process, follow the process, have that framework for the process, so that we can even go deeper tomorrow, where we're going to learn how to follow the money. Because when we know where the money is coming from, how it's being used, who used it, and who was impacted, then our power is in place. Because that's where transparency actually lives. Not you telling me what you want me to know. Me knowing exactly where every dollar that was allocated for that proposal, agenda item, or recommendation went to, then I know transparently where everything went to: names, numbers, addresses, contact information for how those dollars were spent. So that is today's lesson. Thank you for being here with Community Civics 101, where we engage citizens with our legislative process and keep us informed on what it is that we need to do to be responsible for our communities. I'll see you tomorrow, where we will go deeper in learning how to follow the money.